Alright, so today I want to introduce you to the Freeway ball python. The Freeway actually consists of two genes, and that is the asphalt and the yellow belly. And there's kind of some weird anomalies when it comes to freeways. Probably the first one is if you actually take a freeway, which is really visually impressive, and you breed it to something else, it's very difficult to actually reproduce it because it's an allelic combination. So half the offspring come out asphalt, half come out as yellow belly. And both of those genes, the asphalt and yellow belly, look almost like the normal wild type classic ball python. Not very impressive until you actually mix them together. And the really kind of probably the weirdest thing about the freeways is if you actually see different people producing freeways, a lot of times they can look completely different from one snake to the other, although they have the same genes. And I'm starting to think that there's actually different lines of pastel and different lines of asphalt that when you mix them together, you get really dramatically different results as far as the visual appearance. And when you start mixing other things in with the freeway, I would say it's probably one of the most impressive combos that I've ever seen in ball pythons. But it's a little bit tricky to hit because it's an allelic combination, and really the only way to do it is actually take a freeway and breed it to something else that either has asphalt or yellow belly in it, or you can breed it back to another freeway, and you actually will get some ivories, which is the super yellow belly. You'll also get the super asphalts. So it's a little bit complicated to work with the freeways. Probably the best way to do it would be to take like a super asphalt, breed it to an ivory, which is a super yellow belly, then you get a whole clutch of freeways. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to jump over to the internet and I want to show you the potential and some of the huge variability in the freeway. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here on morphmarket.com, and the first thing I want to show you is the variability within the freeway. Just the same genes and just different snakes, and we can just take a look at the differences. It's pretty incredible. As a matter of fact, I pulled up 5 different freeways, and I think you'll be really surprised at the differences in the visual appearance between them. This is actually a freeway. If you actually look at the genes here, this is the yellow belly and the asphalt. This one, as a matter of fact, they're selling for quite a lot of money. This one actually sold for $700. This is actually just last year. Pretty incredible that they've been holding their price. Pretty much since I started in ball pythons, they really haven't dropped in price a lot. So if you actually take a look at this snake, let's compare this freeway with this freeway. Take a look at this. This is completely different. This is probably one of the darkest freeways that I have seen. Really dark on the background. You can definitely see the dotted line coming right down the back. And compare those two with this one. This is another freeway. They're all the same. They have the same genes, the yellow belly and the asphalt. And it's pretty amazing. You can actually see such a huge difference. Some of them are really dark. Some of them have kind of more or less pattern on the sides. I actually pulled up a couple more here. Take a look at this one. Lots of pattern on the sides, and the black in this one is not quite as dark jet black as the other one. And I pulled up one more. Take a look at this one. Completely different. Almost no pattern on the sides, and it's pretty amazing that all of these are freeways, just the two genes with nothing else in the mix. And so I kind of wanted to jump over here, and one of my favorite freeway combos is actually a pastel freeway. If you actually add pastel in the mix, and take a look at what pastel does to a freeway. And kind of the interesting thing is when you're actually working with pastel, there's a lot of different lines of pastel. So I think between the 3 genes, the yellow belly, the asphalt, and the pastel, you can get some extremely variable visual appearances between the different combinations. So this is actually a pastel freeway, and look at how much white is in there, and the yellows are like bright yellow. I've actually seen some that almost looks like almost like electricity coming down the yellow down the sides. Pretty amazing. Here's another pastel yellow belly. Take a look at this, or pastel freeway. So this has the pastel, the yellow belly, and the asphalt. It's the same as the last one. Not quite as much white and as the other one. It has a lot more yellow in this specific case. And take a look at this one. This is another. I pulled up a few pastel freeways. This one is not as high contrast as the other other one is kind of faded out. Now, I pulled up a couple more. These are gonna blow you away. These are all the same jeans on all these snakes. And take a look at this one, almost wiped out pattern on the sides and just almost like a stripe instead of a dash line. And here's the last one, a pastel Freeway. Take a look at this one. This is like totally unlike the other ones. And it's kind of interesting if you're actually getting into the project, you're like, all right, well, one of my favorites is the pastel Freeway. And then you kind of have to decide, all right, which one am I actually going to choose to work with? And I've always thought it would be interesting to actually get one that's really yellow like this one, and then buy another one like a male and a female, maybe one that is really white with a white background, breed them together and kind of see what happens between the two. You probably get a whole mix of different snakes actually working from different lines. And kind of the interesting thing that I've found is when I've actually seen people work with specific lines, sometimes they'll produce whole clutches that'll be have a certain appearance in the clutch. I think it really depends on kind of the lines of the different genes that you're working with. So here's another one. This is the Enchi Freeway. So this has the Enchi plus the yellow belly and the asphalt. And this is really variable too. It seems like everything that I've seen as far as anything Freeway, it's really variable in appearance. So I just pulled up a couple here. This is, if you take a look at this one, it's almost not really a high contrast and the sides are kind of smoothed out. There's a little bit of pattern on the sides. I pulled up another Enchi Freeway. Take a look at this one. So much more yellow than the last one. It's pretty amazing that even this can be so different. Here's one more I pulled up here. This is another Enchi Freeway. The Enchi Freeway is also called the Mardi Gras, which is a kind of an interesting name. And it seems like every time I see a Mardi Gras, it is completely different than the last ones I've seen. It seems like every time, you know, you actually put these genes together, it's slightly different than everything else, which kind of makes the project really exciting because sometimes you don't really know which lines you have. You don't really know how they're going to interact when you actually make these combos. So here's another one that was really, I just pulled up two pictures. This is actually a Firefly Freeway. So the Firefly is actually the fire and the pastel. So you actually have four genes, a little bit difficult to hit this combo. This is a yellow belly, pastel, asphalt, and fire. And I actually found this one, and then I found one that was completely different, the same genes, but take a look at this. This is really crazy. Doesn't even look like the same snake. And this gets a little bit tricky because sometimes, you know, some people will say, hey, I have this snake I bought, I'm not sure exactly what's in it, and they'll post a picture. And especially in the Freeway combos, it is extremely difficult to know one from another, even if you know the parents and what genes are supposed to be in there. And a lot of times you look at some of these and there's so much variability within the Freeways, it's almost impossible to guess unless you know, maybe proved it out and bred it to like a normal ball python to actually see what genes are in the mix. So from here, essentially what I did is I pulled up a whole bunch of Freeway combos so you can see how awesome the Freeway is with a lot of these genes. And keep in mind, it almost seems like, you know, it's kind of interesting because some people say, I have the world's first of whatever, like 3 or 4 or 5 genes. And in the Freeways, it's completely different where you can actually have the world's first and someone can make another one exactly like it and it'll have a completely different visual appearance. It's kind of one of the more interesting sides of the Freeway project. So take a look at this one. This is a pastel Mardi Gras. So this actually has the pastel, the Enchi, and the asphalt and the yellow belly. And look at how beautiful it is with all the yellows and purples coming out. It doesn't even look like it's a real snake. It almost looks like it's a toy or something. So incredible. And look at the head stamp on this thing. That is so crazy. It's one of the most awesome combos that I've seen. Here's another one that I've been looking at for a long time. This is actually the banana Mardi Gras. So this is the banana, the Enchi on top of the Freeway, which is pretty awesome. One of the more impressive combos. If you actually take a look at the price on some of these, this one is $10,000. Pretty amazing. And it actually sold back in, let's see, this actually sold in 2019, just last year. So expensive for some of these Freeway combos. So take a look at this one. This is actually the Pastel Calico Freeway. The Calico essentially brings up a lot of white on the sides, and I was really surprised that just the Calico completely changes what the Pastel Freeway looks like. Completely different than I would have expected. It's almost like an unlimited amount of variability when it comes to Freeway combos. Here's another one. This is the Banana Spider Freeway, and it's kind of interesting. You actually mix spider in with the Freeway and you completely lose the spider pattern. It kind of makes me wonder if you actually get some head wobble or if it kind of masks the head wobble, and I haven't really seen any research as far as, you know, some of the head wobble that's known in some of the spiders. And this one is, it seems like when you add spider, it really breaks up the pattern and you get little splotches all over instead of the spider pattern. Probably one of the most impressive combos that I've seen, mixing spider in with some of the Freeways. So here's another one. This is the DJI Lesser, and the DJI usually breaks up the pattern. The Lesser is in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, and it makes for a really interesting snake. As a matter of fact, I actually pulled up a DJI without the Lesser, and take a look at this crazy thing. This was totally unexpected when you actually take away the Lesser, and it doesn't even look really like a Freeway. It almost looks kind of like a champagne kind of a mix where it's just kind of wiped out, but it still has this dotted line right down the top of the snake. I think that is a really awesome visual appearance like I've never really seen before. So here's another one that was pretty interesting. This is actually a Lemon Blast, which is the pastel and pinstripe on top of the Freeway. Almost wipes out all the pattern, gives it kind of an orange color, which is kind of unexpected, and keeps like a solid line instead of the dash line right down the top. And it's kind of interesting. You actually sit down with some of these jeans and you think, all right, I'm going to mix these together. I wonder what it's going to look like. And I would have never guessed that a Lemon Blast on top of a Freeway. As a matter of fact, this is a Lemon Blast Mardi Gras, so this actually has the Enchi in it too. So this has a lot of jeans in it. This is 5 jeans: yellow belly, pinstripe, pastel, Enchi, and asphalt. This one, believe it or not, this one only sold for $1,800, which I find pretty surprising for so many jeans. So here is another one, the Super Pastel Freeway. Look at how beautiful this is. This is so stunning. I've actually seen some pastel Freeways that are almost as dramatic as this, and the Super Pastel even brings out more white in the background. Probably one of my favorite Freeway combos when you start mixing pastel and the Super Pastel. Pretty awesome. So here is one last one I wanted to show you. This is pretty awesome. This is actually the DJI Pastel Freeway. And remember, the DJI Freeway was that kind of a gold snake with a little dotted line down the top, and then you add the pastel and it completely changes it, kind of completely reverts back to almost like the super pastel appearance of a Freeway. And I'd say out of all the ball pythons, the Freeway has to be hands down the king of combos when it comes to 2 jeans working as kind of the base template, adding other jeans into the mix. Alright, so it is time for the question of the day. And Jench Nelson asks, what is your favorite combo in your collection? That is a very good question. As a matter of fact, probably my favorite combination of jeans in my ball pythons right now, probably in my collection, is my Calico Bamboo. Really awesome snake. Probably the best one that I've ever produced was a Pastel Calico Bamboo. As a matter of fact, I actually sold that one. Someone offered me some pretty decent money, and at the time I needed some cash, so I actually sold that thing. I brought it to a reptile show just to kind of show it off, and someone actually offered to buy it and I sold it. And this year I'm actually taking my Calico Bamboo and I'm breeding it back to a Lemon Blast, which is a pastel pinstripe. So I'm hoping to actually reproduce that Pastel Calico Bamboo combo. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.